Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday.
Hi,
Hello, looking beautiful.
happy Friday to you too. How's it going?
Very, very well. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Great. Well, let's kick off and start with some intros. We'll start the presentation in about 10 minutes time. We'll also open up the chat. So if anyone wants to introduce themselves in the little chat box over here, that would be great. You could put your name, what you do, your LinkedIn. Then we'll close the chat for the presentation, and then we'll open the chat again at the end for Q&A. And this should be a really, really interesting workshop on jewelry design using AI. So yeah, super, super excited to be having a conversation with you both.
Same for us.
Fantastic. So Sagan, would you like to introduce yourself first of all?
Yeah, hello everybody. So happy that you joined till now. I hope to see more people in 10 minutes. I'm Sogan, a multidisciplinary designer and jewelry designer and a co-founder of ORBYLINE together with Nastran to start the journey that to make the smaller the gap between the traditional designer in the physical world and the digital world. We decided to have this first workshop and to see if we can get more people from the physical world to the digital world, and we have more conceptual designer in the Web3.
Fantastic. Great, great intro. And just to dive a little bit deeper into that, what got you into jewelry design in the first place?
What got me in jewelry? Oh, we should go really, really, really back, like when I was 10 years old, maybe. So
Oh,
I don't want to mention how many years ago it's gonna be,
10 years old. Wow. I
but
remember making jewelry when I was 10 and selling it on the beach.
yeah, I even maybe have a photo when even I was smaller with my mom's jewelry, and I really love them. I went to another way. It's not like in a traditional like haute couture, but I always loved jewelry. Like always played. Even I was studying industrial design in Iran. I remember like, whatever free project we had, I chose like something related to jewelry. That if I could design a jewelry, if I could design the interior design for a jewelry shop, or because in Iran I studied industrial design, so whenever they gave me a free theme, I chose jewelry. So I don't, I really can't tell you when I decided to enter in a jewelry world, but I knew when it came to Italy in 2008, the reason it was this when I chose Italy that to enter in a jewelry world. So jewelry always has been in my life in different ways, in different I don't know shapes, but it has always been there. So
That's so nice that it's really interwoven in your life and a real, passion from those early days, and you kept that going for so long. I love your story, and amazing that it brought you to Italy. So Nastaran, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Of course. Hello, everybody. I'm Nastaran. I am a tech-oriented fashion designer and also co-founder and co-creator, co-creative director of ORBYLINE, which already Sogan covered what we do. And that's it. Even though I specialize in fashion, I'm working with Sogan, so I learned a lot about jewelry from her. It's her area of expertise, and I'm just really glad to be with you all here.
Fantastic. And I believe you're in Italy too. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, yes. Both of us are here in Italy, in Milan.
And please tell me what attracted you to Italy. I'm partly Italian, and I know there are a lot of artisans there. You know, some say it's the birth of fashion, and you know, the leather industry and all sorts of things, and Leonardo da Vinci and that period of time. But what attracted you to Italy?
I'm
And
gonna
still
be
do you see that
completely
today?
honest with you. It was not like, okay, like Italy is where fashion is going on, so I'm gonna go there. I came here because I had family. Originally, I wanted to go to London because I was more into technology and innovation, and Italy is more about tradition. But interesting thing, when I moved here and I started like I was graduated here with my master's degree. I got to learn a lot about like the importance of traditions as well, because like it's a combination of the both of them, like whether it's something innovative. I think it's really great to always consider tradition, and Italy, like whether it's in fashion, art, design, whatsoever that is, they take it very seriously, and I'm beginning to love it. I love this aspect here.
Mm. And yeah, I really can't wait to hear about your process of using technology. Obviously, there are a lot of you know, traditional people who still like to sketch and feel materials and things like that. I think maybe COVID-19 was a real turning point. Do you think that was a turning point for the way fashion and jewelry is made?
Absolutely. I think for me personally, it was nothing that I chose, because to be honest, I still do miss working with my hands, to touch the fabric, to sketch and everything. And with that classic perspective that I already had, like shifting into this new digital world was something very unknown to me, and it happened in COVID. I started by experimenting. Okay, what is this world? Like it's so related to gaming, and like that is interesting, but I don't know anything about it. But during the past 2 years, I think now it's like about 3 years, I got to discover like how they're still connected, and there's still like a lot of potential for these two to be connected. But I think those who come from the traditional world of design will find it super interesting if they understand the culture, because like this digital realm comes with a culture. It's not the traditional culture that is known to us, it's a new one. So with that knowledge, if you enter this space, I think it's going to be interesting. It was how it was for me. I just went in, I started experimenting, I started to know the communities, how things work, and I got interested to it. So now it's like a combination of both of them, and now is where I feel like, okay, this is the way to go.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. And obviously this workshop is how we create jewelry using these new technologies like AI, and how that process is changing. But just as you mentioned, it's also maybe driven by the consumer and these younger generations who are on mobile phones, and they're on Snapchat, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, and they have access to all of these filters and virtual try-ons. Have you seen that also maybe shape the jewelry industry, with young people with, you know, filters and virtual try-ons of jewelry and crowns and all sorts of things?
Absolutely, yes, it's everywhere. I think this is like, I mean, now I don't see a lot of like jewelry going on with the filters and everything, but like the whole thing started with like face filters, like headpieces and everything. So now they're beginning to like go viral. It's been kind of normalized now to use it like as a virtual try-on among the younger generation. Of course, if you talk to like the previous generation about it, it's still something super fresh to them. But like as you just mentioned, for the younger generation, it has been super normalized to try on something digital, something very unconventional, and it's just an AR filter. I personally find that pretty interesting. You can try whatever you want.
Fantastic. Great. So we are now ready to move into the presentation. Great to see so many people joining. Thank you so much for also sharing some introductions. I'm going to close the chat for now, and we'll open up the chat at the end for any questions. So please just write them down, and we'll get to them at the end.
Alrighty, so we're gonna start, shall we? Okay, before starting it off, I have to mention that since we have participants from very different communities, so we have the community of fashion AI, we have contemporary jewelry community, and also digital native designers. We would like to note what exactly will be helpful from each community that they will gain from this workshop. So people who are already professionals in AI and also digital tools will gain a little bit more perspective about contemporary jewelry, what it is, what are the principles, what features should be included in the final result in order to be considered as a contemporary jewelry piece. The rest of the participants from contemporary jewelry community who are already familiar with the roots of contemporary jewelry will learn the basics of how to use Midjourney to eventually include it in their design process. So these are the topics. I don't know if we have the okay.
I think I'm having an issue. Can you see it well? I don't know if
We're still on the first page. If you can.
What are you seeing? Because I can find my.
Okay, double click on your Zoom. You will be able to see your full screen again.
I am actually stop the video. No. You sure? Okay. So you are seeing because I am
Yeah, we're watching like the first page and also the other pages on the left side of it.
Okay. So hide sidebar.
Perfect.
So now you are just seeing the presentation.
Yes.
It's not only the presentation, but it's at least one page, so no distractions. We can keep it this way.
Well, what's the issue? I don't know.
Do you want to go left and right just to see if you can flick to the next page? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we
Good.
got it.
But is it full screen for everybody?
Yeah, we can see the whole
readable?
screen of yours,
Yes.
but it's
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
So let me try this and.
Okay, now we got it.
Okay.
A little bit zoom it out.
Is it okay now?
No, because the layout is somehow quite strange.
Now
No,
for me
you
it's
have to zoom it out.
Now for me it's full actually.
Good. Yep.
Okay, good. So we have it.
Okay.
If you can see, if you can go to the next page.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so these are the topics that we will cover today in a very limited time, of course. First, we will go through what contemporary jewelry is and what makes it valuable, which I think is more interesting for people who are already professionals in AI tools. Then we move on to AI tools, what is Midjourney, what a prompt is, the features of a good prompt in design in general, then specifically in contemporary jewelry. And after we finish, of course, we will give you a brief step-by-step guide on basics of Midjourney, like what each tool does, which is more useful for people who are joining from contemporary jewelry community and have never used Midjourney before. So we're gonna start from scratch. And at the end of the workshop, we will also talk a little bit about like where in your design process you can actually use AI. And so we tell you also a little bit about the contest that is essentially the purpose of this workshop. And that's it. Now I guess we can start off by talking a little bit about contemporary jewelry, which Sogand will cover for you because obviously it's her area of expertise.
Yeah, thank you. It's the fun part actually. Okay, let's say start. Defining contemporary jewelry is like defining contemporary art. As we know, defining art in general is not something that has a clear explanation. So here in the slide, you can see 3 different opinions from 3 different experts in the fashion and jewelry field about contemporary jewelry. They all are agree on some points, but they have different opinions about the rest. We can see what they have in common. Like they think contemporary jewelry is like a voice for artists that let them express themselves and be creative. It's like wearing a piece of art, let's say. And they also agree that contemporary jewelry is not afraid to be different and challenges the usual rules. In contemporary jewelry, you can use unusual shape, textures, materials, whatever you don't use normally in traditional jewelry. We can also say that another thing in common is contemporary jewelry is kind of a combination of old and new. We normally mix traditional techniques with modern method and technology in contemporary jewelry. But there are also some differences. Let's take a look at differences of these opinions. Like I believe that contemporary jewelry can have message and emotion. It's not just about aesthetic. It can also evoke feelings when you wear it. But Nastan thinks that contemporary jewelry evolves with the time. It adapts to the present and doesn't stick to old perspectives. Instead, Toktam, or another jury, which is a critic of jewelry design, sees contemporary jewelry as a mixture of art and jewelry, which can help to move away from the traditional norms of beauty and value. So, who do you think it's right? Actually, we all are. All of us agree that contemporary jewelry is about being creative and different. So basically, it's a tool for artists to express themselves. And in this way, jewelry becomes more than just an ornament. But we also have our own personal perspective on what makes contemporary jewelry special. One of us emphasize more on messages and emotions. The other one focus on adaptability to the times. And what is important for the third one is the fact that it goes against the rules of the traditional jewelry. So we are all correct because in the end, it is very personal. Let's go deeper why and explain you more. Like one important thing to understand is contemporary art and contemporary jewelry is really going hand in hand. You see, contemporary art is all about making art in the present time. It started a long time ago when artists wanted to do things differently and have more fun with their art and break all the written rules. They didn't want to just check all the lists that, okay, you need to follow this to be an artist. They just wanted to be free and express themselves. They didn't want to stick to the old ways of doing things. So they started creating art that looked more unique and could express what they felt in the world around them in their time. They often challenged the traditional idea of what art should look like. This is really important. So I repeat, they often challenge the traditional ideas of what art should look like. And so contemporary jewelry is exactly like this. It is a special kind of art that you can wear. It's like having a piece of art with you all the time, and it's not like a traditional jewelry you see every day. It's made by artists who are experimenting this with new shapes, textures, materials, and ideas. We can say actually these artists want their jewelry to be interesting, to be challenging, and make you think more deeply about the concept, about what's happening around you rather than just looking pretty. Another cool thing about contemporary art and contemporary jewelry is that they keep changing and evolving. What we see as contemporary art or jewelry today might be different in 20 or 30 years because there will be always new ideas, new technologies, new ways to express your ideas. What I can add more? Sometimes contemporary jewelry even looks a little bit strange, unconventional, unusual, whatever you want to call it, but I think this is really makes it more interesting. It is a way for artists to show their ideas and feelings in a wearable form. Like for me personally, each time I design something, it came from like deep, deep, deep inside me. Whatever I designed, whatever contest I participated, always had a connection with my past, with my feelings, even when I wasn't aware. It's like they are telling a story or sharing a message through the jewelry. And when you wear contemporary jewelry, it's like you are carrying that story of that person with you, and sometimes even you find a connection, like you understand that person, and in this way it makes you feel special and express your own personality and style too. Talking actually a couple days ago I was talking with Tokta, which I think she couldn't be here today, and about how everybody is confused about the meaning of contemporary jewelry. And she said really a simple but really, really interesting thing, that it is just the most important thing to remember is that the idea behind a piece is always more valuable than a final result. It's about expressing yourself and creating something that speaks to people on a deeper level. That's it. I forgot to tell that something really important, that contemporary jewelry is not about mass production. It's more about making something special in limited edition or as a one-of-a-kind piece. This is also really important to note. So don't forget, if you are in this field, you have to always keep up with what's happening in the world around you. You need to know about new technologies. Like today we are talking about AI. You need to know about social issues, what people like, and the materials are that these days are available, etc., etc. Everything that is new and everything that can be a voice. Let's summarize everything. Like in the aid, we can say contemporary jewelry is like a wearable art that goes beyond the usual rules. It's a new way for the artist and the wearer to connect with creativity and meaning behind each piece. It's a combination of art, fashion, design, architecture, psychology, and many more. Whatever you want. Don't forget this, whatever you want, and this is personal. So now that we understand the concept of contemporary jewelry, I don't know if I explain it well, so you have a basic idea. Nastaran will explain why it is important for contemporary designers to engage with digital native artists.
So why is it important anyways for you guys, which I know who are participating from very different backgrounds, to work together? That's the ultimate goal, actually. The reason why we put together this workshop and also the following contest was that we would really like to see you guys from different groups to work together and have results from both of you, mainly because we really do believe that when you exchange this kind of knowledges that you already know and you already master, we can have super interesting results. As we already know, digital native artists are the ones who are more skilled at using technology, digital tools, and normally they think more towards the digital realm to eventually create their art. They're the ones who understand the digital landscape, and they can really introduce amazing ideas and also techniques to the table. But then on the other hand, contemporary jewelry artists have very strong foundation in traditional and modern craftsmanship. They know materials, conceptual ideas, and also they have a very deep knowledge of jewelry design and all the techniques, aesthetics, and essentially where it comes from. So ultimately, we really think that if these two can exchange their professions and collaborate, they kind of complete each other. I mean, at the end of the day, injecting technology can really improve like both visually and conceptually like aspects of jewelry design. And by doing this, we can make them more immersive. Either it's for the people who view it or it's for the ones who are actually wearing it, whether digital or physical. Obviously, this can also contribute to the evolution of contemporary jewelry. As I have my opinion, it's like what's happening at the moment. So if the moment contains technology, I think this is the next step of the evolution of contemporary jewelry as an art form. And so, yeah, we thought that this is the best way to reach to the mass adoption of like this digital realm that we're longing for. So as you can see in the pictures, we have a very popular contemporary jewelry piece by Otto Kunzli, which is super, super famous. And then again, another AI generated piece by us. So what I would like to draw your attention to is the title of the piece in relation to the actual piece. So the piece is called Gold Makes You Blind, and yet in the final piece, we see no evidence of gold in the material. This is exactly what contemporary jewelry is about. It's about very strong concepts and messages, which can eventually like make it super unique. And on the other hand, we have AI generated option, which offers a variety to maybe take overall concepts, which are done traditionally, to next level. So you kind of get an idea about how interesting the results will become by exchanging these knowledges. So we're going to start off like with Midjourney and introduce you to the AI tools. This is more beneficial for those of you who have never used technology to design before. And we really hope like after this, you guys can collaborate or use each other's knowledges to create interesting pieces.
Okay. Now we have covered the, let's say, conceptual part. Let's start a little bit technical part. But first, let's have a quick look at some AI tools that can turn text into images. There are many options available out there. When you Google it, you can find like infinite AI tools, but we will mention the most important ones that are widely used and provide good results. Midjourney actually is our top recommendation in terms of quality and usability. But however, other tools like DALL-E, Blue Willow, Stable Diffusion, Firefly are also worth trying. Okay, for those that maybe don't know, Midjourney is an advanced artificial intelligence program that can generate beautiful images based on text prompts and existing images. It actually uses techniques similar to Stable Diffusion or OpenAI DALL-E. And once you become familiar with it, it actually really, you can use Midjourney, can be actually really easy. However, keep in mind that while Midjourney can produce impressive result with maybe less effort, let's say, having full control over the design process might be a little bit challenging. So if you are like a little bit advanced or you're a pro already, if you prefer more control and want to generate highly accurate result using installed version of Stable Diffusion, not the web-based one, is a better option for you. But so far for this workshop, we will focus on the basic commands and features of Midjourney. To start your process, we need to understand one thing. And I repeat, this section is specifically for those who aren't familiar with AI tools for creating images. So we start with the basic. No matter which tool you use, there is one term you need to understand, which is commonly used in the world of AR, and that is prompt. A prompt is simply a sentence. Don't complicate things. It's a sentence. Think of a prompt as a kind of a spark that starts your design process. It's like a helpful guide that directs your thoughts and ideas toward a specific concept or theme. It's, in simple terms, we can say prompts are essential to give relevant direction to the AI. So the more specific your prompt is, the more satisfying the result will be. Also, it is interesting you to know that prompts can come in different forms, such as words, images, or abstract ideas. In the next slide, we will see how we can use each of them. And they all serve as a source of inspiration and gives us a starting point for our creative journey. In the next two slides, we will learn about the qualities of a good prompt and how to effectively use them in contemporary jewelry design.
Okay, so now that we know what a prompt is, so simply a sentence that you have to put together in order to get visual results, now we can see how you can put together a good sentence. So when it comes to design in general, there are some features that can make a prompt work in your favor, like clarity, open-endedness, relevance, or reference keywords. So these are the features that can apply to all design fields. So it doesn't really matter whether it's jewelry or like it's architecture or what. So first of all, a good prompt is the one that is clear and easy to understand. So you have to define a very clear direction without leaving any room for doubt. You have to be super clear about what you want that AI can generate for you. So in this case, we clearly mentioned that we want a model wearing a jewelry piece, easy to understand. What we mean by open-endedness is that the prompt has to be written in a way that creates different responses. So even though you have to be super clear, you have to keep in mind not to restrict it too much. For example, if you mention that you want earrings made of glass, AI will only generate you earring options. But if you mention a more open phrase and write maybe jewelry made of glass, it will generate you more variety of them, like necklaces, headpieces, and so on. This keeping it open but clear can really help to maybe think outside the box, and also your results to become like more outside the box. The relevance of your words are also very important. The words that you use should be relevant to the theme that you have already chosen, and it has to be aligned eventually with your final objective. The more relevant you write a prompt, the more the design becomes meaningful and maybe more connected to your personal message that you want to deliver. So if the theme of the contest that we're holding is fluidity, you can simply add relevant words to that, like, for example, water-like, fluid, flowy, etc., etc. Lastly, there are the reference keywords, which in my opinion are the most important ones. So by adding references that resonate with your final purpose, you can get closer to what you want to receive as an output. You can do this by adding an artist name, a specific design, a specific area, and this can really improve your results. What I want you to be very careful with is about the combinations that you use. Like, because if you don't use these reference words creatively, your final result might turn out a copy version of an original work of an artist, which in that case, your work does not hold any value because you can see a lot of that designer in it. So you have to be super creative in how to combine and mix different kind of references so that your results will look original with your own signature, with your own mixture. So please, please, please do not use one reference of the artist because it will generate it and like it's just too obvious. So moving on from general features of a good prompt, let's talk about some features that make a good prompt specifically in contemporary jewelry. So specifically in this field, creative prompts can really help you to kind of break free from what is already known to us, like traditionally, and remove all of your creative blocks. When it comes to contemporary jewelry, there are some elements that are very fundamental to consider, like concept, materials, functionality, and references. As we already mentioned before, in contemporary jewelry, the most important element is always, always, always the concept. So the more depth you give to the concept, the more valuable your results will be. So in order to get a good result, we need to include a very meaningful or maybe something very thought-provoking in your prompt. What this helps you is that it can maybe help you to create pieces that can deliver very deep messages or point out to a specific societal, cultural, or even maybe personal narratives. Another important element is mentioning interesting material. With AI, you can have the opportunity to experiment with very unconventional materials and also techniques that maybe before you never considered. And when you mention a specific material like glass, resin, melton, or else, when you put it in your prompt, it can really improve the overall aesthetic of your design. I mean, visually, yes, but it can also bring out better conceptual qualities of your final piece. You can also try this by maybe defining a wide range of materials in a mood board, then translate them into words, and then put them all into a prompt. The next thing is about wearability and functionality. As we already mentioned before, even though that contemporary jewelry is more about like artistic expression and everything, but it also really values wearability and functionality. So if your prompt is precise enough, you can also cover the practical aspects of a jewelry piece. Does anybody have something to say? Okay, we continue. So what we need to make sure of is that the designs, yes, they do have to look visually nice, but at the same time, they have to be comfortable and functional to wear. So if you do a general research about technical terms, you can also include those in your prompt, and you can achieve very wearable results in terms of form and structure. For example, you can use like 3D prints, because 3D print normally works with all aspects. And lastly, just like the previous slide, we have contemporary jewelry reference keywords, obviously. Since we want your results for the contest, especially to fit in contemporary jewelry category, we really suggest you to get to know the knowledge behind it a little bit, because when you add some keywords in your prompt that directly point out this category, the result will get closer and closer to a product that actually meets the criteria of contemporary jewelry. I would say maybe a very primary research on the key elements of contemporary jewelry or so can really help you generate like some words, and then you can use those words in your prompt, which eventually makes it like both technically and also visually correct. So now I think we kind of do have an idea about how to write a relevant prompt. We can move on to the very basic tools of Midjourney, and this is what you have to use like after you wrote your prompt. So we can get into those.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, as Nasra mentioned, after understanding what is prompt and how to create it, we are going to find out about some technical information to understand how to mix and use them with our prompt. Just a note, we already shared with you the basic tutorial video, so we assume you the people that come from the contemporary jewelry world or physical design world, we assume you know already how to download Discord and add Midjourney to the server to it. So once you add Midjourney to your Discord, when you open it, and when you are in your you go to a newbie channel or you're in your direct message bot, you will see a layout similar like this. And here first you type your prompt. You have to type /imagine and then send it to the bot, then your prompt, and then send it to the bot. Then Midjourney always generate 4 images from the prompt and gives you 3 options. First, we see this redo button, which is this blue double arrow button, and this redo the whole process and generates new set of images for you. Then there is U, which U stands for upscale. And as you see, where is the red dot? Okay, U1 means upscale the first image, U2 upscale the second image, and go on. And this third option that we see, it's V. V stands for variations. As same as upscale, V1 refers to the picture 1, V2 refers to the picture 2, and so on. So if you want to have, like, imagine that you like the second image, you like the second earrings, but I don't know, something it doesn't come with you and you need some, or just out of curiosity, you want to see some other variations. You tap on V2 to see the variations from the second picture. So it's different from other pictures. And then these are the first things that you needed to know. But also another thing that I forgot to mention, it is important to know, creating images might only take a few seconds or a minute, but sometimes it can take longer if the server is busy. So you might have to wait a bit before getting your result. If you are in your private bot message, it's okay, you are not going to have an issue. You can also even check it after 1 hour. But if you are using public channels like newbie channels, where many people are inside, your results might disappear quickly as new messages come in, because everybody just giving a prompt to the bot and they are receiving their result. So you need to be there and make sure to keep an eye out for your result before they scroll out of view. Sometimes even you need to go, I don't know, scroll up like 100 images to find your image. So that is really boring and complicated, actually. Here we will see the tools and basic commands to start to work with Midjourney without wasting your free images in a trial period, because I think you have 25 images if you don't want to register or subscribe to the Midjourney. So follow all of these parameters and codes and instructors so you don't lose just your free period. There are 2 ways that you can control the direction of your result. First is by opening the setting panel, and second is by entering the code or parameter at the end of your prompt. Today we prefer we keep it on how to open the setting panel, because and also some basic code and parameters, since some of you are first timers, we don't want to overload you with extra information. Back to the setting panel. To open your setting panel, simply you need to insert /setting into the message part of the bot, and then press enter and send it to the bot. And then you will see something like this image. Here you can activate the mode you want. Before we get into the important options for our goal and understand what they do, let me give you a quick note about the Niji versions and raw mode. Niji produce anime result, and raw mode helps you to generate images that are more like a literal image result from the prompt. Like, if you are familiar with photography, it is the same thing as a raw photo mode in cameras. but they are not really necessary at this stage. So we move on to things that we need more actually for our goal and the contest. Imagine Midjourney is like a very smart computer program that keeps getting better and better. It keeps creating new versions of itself and to improve, of course, the ability and make things even more organized with higher quality, of course. Each version of Midjourney has its own special strength, but the newest version, and it is really recently launched, is always the best in terms of quality, meaning it can create really clear and detailed images. But sometimes older versions still have features that work better for certain things, like we'll get to version 4, but just know that depending on what you need, you can choose the version that suits you best. To activate whichever version you like, you just need to click on it or tap on it with your phone, and it will then your bot generate images using that version's ability. So if you want just only to activate it for one image, don't forget to go back to the / setting and deactivate the version and activate the version you want. The latest version of Midjourney is 5.2, and it offers, of course, the highest quality, and it can create images that are very sharp and close to what you described in your instructions. It even lets you choose different zoom levels for your image, which is really interesting for product designs. And we can use it now for our contest if you participate for the jewelry pieces, that if you want to zoom in or zoom out from the object. Before that, it was version 5.1, and it was the latest version like till a week ago, I think. And it's a great and understanding what you want when you give it natural language instructions. And also it makes fewer mistakes, of course, compared to the previous versions. But I imagine 5.2 is not actually, is really better. Let's talk a little bit about the version 4. It's not as good in terms of quality compared to the newer versions, of course, but it's very creative, really, really creative. It can give you interesting ideas and suggestions. However, it might have some problems with textures, like how things feels or looks, and sometimes even creates strange looking faces, or even sometimes give you 6 legs. But you can use it like for creative suggestions, then elaborate your images with a higher version like 5.1 and 2. Another thing that we can see in the latest version of Midjourney, they added as a feature, they are variation modes. When you activate one of the variation styles, and then when you ask the bot to give you a variation for a specific image, as we saw, like V1, which gives you the variation for the first picture, it gives you variations modes based on what you have activated. So as it is obvious from the names, when you choose high variation, it will generate 4 images that are a lot different from the original picture that you chose. And on other hand, if you choose low variation mode, the generated images are having only small changes compared to the original one. Okay, now with Nastar, we will explore a few image parameters and important codes that you can use in your prompt. And also we will also learn about some essential tools that can help you improve your result.
Okay, so the tools that we have mentioned until now were most likely to help you control mostly the model and also your direction. Now we can get more into the tools that directly impact your final image. When you open the setting toolbar, so again, type /settings, send it to the bot, and in the setting toolbar, what you can see is another set of options called stylize. So actually, what this option does is that it lets you decide how close you want your result to be to your original prompt. So the higher you put the stylized, the more creative it becomes. And the lower you put stylized, the result will be closer to what you put in the prompt and less creative options by AI. So you can choose this according to your needs. There are actually two ways that you can use this option. Number one is obviously, as you can see, you can choose them in your setting toolbar. There's also another way in which you can write your prompt, and after writing your prompt, you can put a space, then type -s, then put another space, and then you can put a number of a higher or lower value. It has to be from 0 to 1000. So what is the difference? Obviously, it's so much easier to just go to the setting and choose like which stylize you want. But if you get to work with it a little bit more, I think it's also great to use like a parameter, so -s, because you can choose a specific number. So if you want like number, you can put the stylize on 150 and it will be just as creative until the number of 150. So you can be like super precise. But for those of you who are just starting, we really suggest that you just choose them and try them in your toolbox setting. So the next one is the aspect ratio. So getting more into it, you have the aspect ratio, which you cannot really find in your setting toolbar anymore. So based on what type of frame you want to get, like cinematic view, vertical, horizontal, or maybe desktop wallpapers, you can specify the ratio at the end of your prompt to get different frames. So if you don't mention any aspect ratio in the prompt, it will automatically produce an image with a default aspect ratio of 1:1. So it's going to be squared. So if you want to change that, you write your prompt, then you put a space, then you type -AR. Again, you put another space, and then you can put like a specific aspect ratio, like 16:9 or 4:5, which is for Instagram. Then you send it to the bot and you see that the server starts to produce like that particular image. Here you can see like examples, but you can find a lot of them online to see like what kind of numbers and what kind of frames you're looking for. So, next we have another tool, which is called the remix tool. So basically what it does is that it allows you to edit a prompt you previously generated some images with. So for example, if you already put your prompt and you like one of the variations, so V1, V2, blah, 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 but you don't like the color, you don't like an element, or you don't like the aspect ratio or materials, you can change this with the remix tool. So what you have to do in order to activate it is that you type /setting, and then you send it to the server. And after that it's sent, you can see the setting toolbar again, as we saw it before. Then there is the option of remix tool. We click on the remix tool, and when it's activated, now you can click on V1, V2, like whatever that was the one that you like the most, and you can see the edit window opens. So here you can see your prompt, you have the option to edit it, you can change some words and maybe put new ones. What you gotta remember with this tool is that it doesn't always work the best, and it requires like a lot of trial and error in order to get like specific results. For example, what we realized was that it works amazing with colors. But with more complex edits, it can ruin your original image and maybe give you irrelevant results like disrupted shapes or so. So what we tried was with the colors, instead of blue, we put red, and it simply generated like red options from what we already liked. Okay. Another tool that is very fun to work with is the blending tool. So what it does is that it lets you blend between 2 to 5 images together. These images can be from what you generated already with AI, or it can be like a real life photo you already have like in your camera roll or something. In order to use this, you have to type /blend, and then you will see the option like popping up, which lets you upload 2 photos. Of course, you can upload more, but here we tried blending only 2 pictures that we previously generated with AI. As you can see, you also have to choose your dimension. So there is the dimension part that you can choose, whether you want it to be landscape or portrait. And after you chose that, you just send it to the bot, and then you will realize that they start to get blended together. As you can see, what we tried is quite interesting, and we don't see any like particular glitches with the latest version. Previously, we had 2 pieces with the same concept, they're different, and after blending them, we have a 3rd piece that is technically correct and is still relevant to the concept. So you can really use this blending tool, but beware that sometimes when you use it so often, it becomes super boring. I mean, I was already bored with this result because we already had 2 interesting ones. So be careful not to like continue all of your collection with this blending tool. Okay, then next we have the image to image prompts. Actually, I use this the most. Another thing that you can do with Midjourney is to upload a picture on Midjourney and ask AI to use this image as a reference. So when you use this technique, you will see that AI generates results that are relevant to the photo that you originally uploaded, of course, in terms of characteristic, but it starts developing them in a creative way, and it starts combining it with your prompt. So what you have to do in order to use this is that you have to click on the plus button near your chat box. You choose an image, then you send it to the server. After it's sent, you right click on it, then you can click copy link, or in mobiles, it's normally copy media link. Then after you have the URL copied, you come back to the chat box, you type /imagine as we did before, then you put a space and you paste your URL. After your URL is pasted, you put another space and then you type your prompt, whatever you want it to be. Then at the end, you mention also the aspect ratio, and then you send it to the server. And what you can see is that AI can generate results that have the characteristics of your reference image, but it's kind of mixed with your prompt that you put. This feature can be very useful for manual designers. So those of you who are joining from traditional way of doing contemporary jewelry, this can be quite useful because what you can do is that you can simply use one of your primary sketches as a reference, and then you can ask Midjourney to create variations of it, maybe give it materials, colors, and so on. First of all, it saves you a lot of time, and you can choose like what colors, what materials go best with it without having to go through making it into 3D, putting materials, rendering it, like it's super duper fast. So we really suggest you to give this a try. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun with it, especially if you put a sketch. And I think we're done until now. What we already covered here was like very basic tools of Midjourney that obviously you can use for your designing process. But now we give you like little extra hints to include in your prompt to produce more professional results. We kind of handpicked this to be like more what you can use in contemporary jewelry in particular. So we go through them as well.
To get a better quality in our images, we can use some words and some techniques, especially if you're familiar again with photography, it helps you a lot. But for example, we can mention a camera model, like for example, Nikon D750. Say this way you give indications to Midjourney to generate high quality photos that resemble the style of that particular camera. Or we can improve the quality also by including the lens setting, like for example, writing 50 millimeters, 100 millimeters for micro shots for the jewelry piece. In this way, we are asking the bot to give an image with similar perspective to a photo that has been taken with that specific lens. Also specifying the type of lighting, such as cinematic or dramatic lighting or whatever you can find, can contribute to producing better images with the desired mood. And also you can add keywords related to environments, such as a garden, underwater, space. Lately, I went crazy with the mushroom village, for example. And these environment moods can really help the overall feeling of your results. So you can stick better to the theme or the concept that you are looking for. They are also two code parameters, more technical, that provide more control over the output and are really useful in product design. First is : 1. When we use it after a phrase or a word, it emphasizes the importance of that word. And in this way, it will focus more to make sure that word is included and elaborated in your result. The other one is the code parameter : space, multiple space poses, space sheet, or simply adding a reference sheet in your prompt. You can also screenshot from the this slide if you want, and this allows you to generate multiple angles of a specific design. So this is going to be really useful if you want different angle of a, let's say, a bracelet or an earrings or necklace. Of course, not always works 100%, but most of the times gives you really interesting result. By inserting these additional elements and using the code parameters, you can have more influence over your AI generated results. For this workshop, for example, we generated some images, and here is the details of a prompt that we use for this image. You can see how we were precise with the using of the specific keywords that refer to the style, material, technique, mood, and even the artist reference, without really copying the design of that artist, and also the ratios we were looking for. And the generated image shows how being precise in using these elements can contribute to achieving the desired artistic vision.
Okay, so aside from all the technical information of AI, what we need to understand as designers is where exactly in your design process this can be helpful. What we have to consider is that AI is not here to design for you, but it's a tool that you can use in very particular steps of your design process. So we will go through a list of some of these areas that we found most useful that we normally use in our design process, from constructing an idea to using it maybe as a feedback machine, and we will quickly share them with you. Okay, so of course, the first step to design is shaping an idea. Sometimes we have a fully elaborated idea, but sometimes we have a primary idea, but we're not really sure what to do with it next. So in this step, AI can be super helpful to remove any creative blocks, because it can offer you new possibilities when you're shaping some sort of ideology. It can quickly generate a wide range of directions for you and let you decide or discover different concepts. After we got a clear idea, we normally start free sketching. So these sketches are not always elaborated and they need to be edited in order to become final results. So in this step, especially manual designers can benefit a lot from having AI. Is that they can use it as a secondary tool. So after manually drafting a sketch, you can use them as an input, and then from there, AI can assist you in maybe taking it to the next level and help you finalize it. Another step, which I personally use the most, is the step of gathering your mood board. So normally in the design process, the mood board we put together is actually very important because it can act like a narrative. When we use a mood board in traditional process, we think of 1 or 2 ways to turn them into designs. What AI can offer here is a lot of design possibilities from only one mood board. So you can try this by putting together your mood board as you normally do, then translate them into a prompt, then watch AI giving you really cool combinations that are still coherent with your mood board. And the options are something that you may not have considered before. Then after coming up with the designs, we normally explore which design has the highest potential to be finalized and which direction matches your intention. So what AI can do here is to assist you compare your design variations, and you can do that really quick. It can show you what direction is better and what matches your final purpose at the end. A lot of times we have a direction in mind and we think that it might work, but when you execute that idea, you realize it was not what you were aiming for at all. So AI can show you final results. So, and they can be like super in parallel without you wasting a lot of time like to render it or maybe like physically make it. And you can quickly see if your idea does not work, so you will not waste your time on it. Another huge benefit of AI is the speed, of course. It can automate a lot of your time-consuming tasks, and it can save you a lot of time. For example, if you have to generate a very complex pattern without any kind of manual work, it can help you maybe to optimize your layouts, or maybe optimize your edit process to edit some elements, and all of this is being made on some rules that are predefined. So now that AI can take part in such time-consuming and technical work, I think now is the time for designers to really focus on higher levels of creativity. Now you can focus on your storytelling, and I think AI will take design to a very deep level of storytelling, and I think this is one of the best features of it. It can also help you with augmenting creativity. Basically, it can act as a collaborator and it can help you expand your creative horizons and your perspective. It really has the power to analyze huge amounts of design data. It has the power to identify your patterns, and it can also come up with suggestions as well. Another handy benefit of it can be that it can act as a feedback loop. So it has the ability to help you with live evaluation on your several designs. It can help you analyze any design elements, composition, aesthetic principles, and it can provide you multiple options at once, and you can point out any flaws, improvements, or maybe highlight any potential issues. So this loop of feedback can really direct you to generate very visually pleasing results, because like you can go with the flow of it. Again, I'm repeating, it's really important that AI should be seen as a tool that completes your human creativity. If we want to produce designs that have our personal signatures, we have to blend them in our personal way of designing. So all of the information we had to share with you in such a short time was only to introduce you to the basics so you can participate to the upcoming contest that we're holding in collaboration with Fashion AI. Now we speak a little bit about that, and just make sure that you submit your work because we cannot wait to receive them all.
Fantastic. Is this over to me now?
I think Sogen is on mute and is speaking.
Great. So hello everyone, I'm Francesca, I'm the founder of Fashion AI. So we do weekly competitions. So you can head over to our Discord channel. We've got really interesting and varied community, people from the traditional fashion space, people from the kind of digital fashion side who know tools like Clo3D, to kind of more kind of game designers and animators who know things like Blender and Unreal Engine. So it's a real mix of people. And what I love about the community is it's global. So there are people from all around the world. We're all at different levels and stages of learning. So I think these competitions are a really nice way of putting some of these learnings into practice, trying things out. It's a fun way of just getting started. And week on week, we're having, more and more interesting prizes. And I think for me, one of the most interesting prizes is taking the designs from Midjourney and then bringing it into reality, into the physical world. So if anyone wants to come and participate and help us take some of these designs, which are 2D with Midjourney, bring them into 3D with some of these 3D softwares for digital fashion show, and then bring them into the real world, I'd love to have a conversation with anyone there on that. And yeah, I think this competition that is a fantastic one. I love the theme of embracing fluidity. What's great about these competitions is it's not only about the jewelry or the fashion, but you're also thinking about who is wearing this jewelry, what's the environment, telling that whole story. And yeah, that's a bit about Fashion AI. So I guess now I'm going to open up the chat again and hand it over to you guys now to ask your questions. And we had some interesting comments. I'd love to invite actually Joshua, if he's available, to the stage, because he was posting a couple of comments on Discord around what can and can't you do from an AI ethics standpoint, in terms of, can you start using prompts of famous brands, or can you go into a shop and take a picture of some jewelry and input that? And there are some legal considerations there. So if Joshua is available I'd love to invite him to the stage to maybe talk about that. I'll just ask him to unmute, but if he's not available right now, that's fine.
Hello.
There we go. Hello.
Hi, Joshua.
Hi. Yeah,
Oh,
thanks
sure.
so much for
Hi.
having me. Hi, nice to meet y'all. I'm in a grocery store right now, so I'm gonna keep my video off.
1 minute, should we just turn off the sharing of the
I'll just
presentation?
say hi.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I was just gonna mention there is one important consideration when you're uploading images for blending or for like direct image prompting, which is that when you upload them, they're published on the Midjourney website, because the way Midjourney works is when you go to somebody's profile page, they show you if their prompt is public, if their images are public, excuse me, if their images are public, which means you're in public mode when you're generating, which most people are, then it shows what your prompt is. And if you're using images to prompt, it will show those images. So the act of uploading an image when you're using Midjourney is publishing that image on the Midjourney website. And therefore, all of the like legal and ethical considerations of publishing any image on the internet apply to this as well. So, so just like my personal ethical recommendation is, when you're uploading images while using Midjourney, that you have a license to them. Either you own them yourself, or you have a explicit license, or they're royalty free. Obviously, you'd want to talk to a lawyer to get the real answer based on your jurisdiction and your lawyer's interpretation of fair use. or what constitutes transformative works, which is another important aspect of generative AI, arguably one of the most important in my non-legal opinion. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because it's really easy to forget, in my opinion, like while you're using Midjourney, you're just being creative and all that stuff. But it is true that when you upload an image, it is being published on the Midjourney website. And at the very least, even if you're in private mode, it's published for your viewing and the Midjourney team's viewing if they need to look at your profile for some reason. But certainly if it's public, that is technically a public publishing of that image when you upload it. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it's a really easy thing to forget when you're in your like creative wonderland mode, like I often am.
Fantastic. And just to add to that, transformative, do you mean by transformative that you can create something in Midjourney and then take it into Photoshop, you know, transform that a bit, put it back into Midjourney and continue to iterate on that piece? Is that what you mean?
So yeah, sorry, when I say transformative, that is a formal legal term on when something is considered derivative or not. This is just my understanding. Again, I'm not a lawyer. This isn't legal advice, but my understanding of what I've learned while studying is that when you are trying to create an original work that is inspired by another work or more, you know, you want to make sure that it's transformative. I can't really comment on like legally what constitutes that, and even in the courts, from my understanding, it's tends to be on a case-by-case basis based on like only a few kind of legal principles, I guess you could say. It seems to me, based on like how the AI companies operate, that they think they have a solid legal foundation, that the AI models are transformative, not only because of like the images that result comparing to the images from the training data, also because the model doesn't store any of the images in the training data, and then also because of like how latent diffusion models work. It's extremely indirect. It's kind of just like weird memories of patterns that are stored in the model. It's like it actually works similar to how the human brain works. So anyway, when I say transformative, I mean like in the legal sense of the word.
Perfect.
So yeah, like your willingness to upload a copyrighted image on the Midjourney website for publishing would be kind of based on, like, legally speaking, it'd be based on your jurisdiction, the opinion of your lawyer, and then how confident you are that using that image would be interpreted as inspiration rather than creating a derivative work.
And
so that's
from
the
your
tricky
perspective, how important is it to use private mode on Midjourney, and what is the process of doing that? Is it simply a matter of subscribing to the sort of premium version of Midjourney?
Yeah, good question. I think I saw Adriana asking that. Hi, by the way. Yeah, it can be accessed in the settings. So when you type /settings, that's one of the toggles. You can switch between public and private mode. If you're using the alpha website, if you've generated more than 5,000 images, you get access to the web app version of Midjourney. And that's just in the settings menu. You can toggle between that. It's like a little gear icon. You can pop up the sidebar menu. And so, yeah, it's just a toggle that you can switch between. And yes, you need to have a higher account in order to get access to the private or stealth mode, I guess, depending on what part of the website you look at. They'll call it something different. But yeah, you'll need to have the right account type in order to get access to that mode. And I do think it's important because if you are wanting to prompt with images, that is like a much more robust way to protect yourself legally, because you're no longer publishing images publicly. You're still publishing them. So again, like it depends on your jurisdiction, your lawyer, your personal beliefs and legality or whatever. But yeah, it's much safer for sure.
Fantastic. Thank you
Just
so
like in terms
much,
of ethics and
Joshua.
legality and stuff. Yeah.
I'm now going to hand it back to Sugand and Nestaran. So a couple of questions about the competition. So what type of jewelry pieces are you accepting? And how are you then judging the competition?
About the pieces, since we are actually first of all, I invite everybody to participate in the contest. As you see, I shared the information about the contest in the chat, and please follow all the steps and join the Fashion AI Pro Discord. Francesco shared the link, but you can also find it again on our landing page information and follow the step to participate. About a selection area and what you can submit it for now, since one of the prizes that we are giving away is creating AR filter for that specific object. So we prefer that you submit only necklaces, earrings, and headpieces. But again, all the information you can find under the section eligibility and entry criteria on the landing page. And I know, Nasran, do you want to explain more about the judging criteria before the public vote?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you, Joshua, for popping in. I love your energy, and I do remember your energy and sharing it with us, like from taking over the Fashion DAO's events. So thank you. So yeah, about the contest, obviously is when you hear like a contest is like based on the jury and not like on public voting, like it doesn't sound quite good. But like since we are restricting this and we want to like receive pieces that are completely in the criteria of contemporary jewelry but made with AI, what we thought was necessary was to professionals in that field to maybe judge whether they can be considered under that category. I mean, speaking for myself as being one of the juries, I'm not gonna get into any aspect of contemporary jewelry. Of course, we have Sogand and we have Toktan, which is a critic in this field, and these are working for many years. So I think these are the better judges, and I will just maybe like judge them by maybe like how they the general structure, because that's not my profession. But after all, we thought yes, creating digitally creates a lot of freedom and a lot of creativity for people, but again, it can produce very fast results, and then people will focus a little bit more on the quantity because they're interested. And what we wanted to receive was maybe less amounts of work but more quality. So we want you to be really focused on them and create pieces that are under that category. And after we've chosen like maybe 10 or 20 of them that can fit under that criteria, then we send it to the public vote, and there like everybody's free to vote for you guys. I'm pretty sure that all of the works that you're going to send to us are going to be super amazing. I've seen the participants of the previous contest of Fashion AI. Everything was amazing, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be amazing too. But overall, this was the reason.
And last question is it only permitted to use Midjourney, or can people use other tools like Stable Diffusion, Leonardo? There are lots of AI image generative tools on the market.
No,
Anything.
you are free to use whatever tool you want. Even you can, if you need to manipulate your image, maybe like, for example, Adobe softwares and application, you are free to do that. Whatever that it makes to make greater or make better your final result, whatever you can
Fantastic.
and you want to use it. Just
That-
be, of course, it should be like AI image tool creator, and okay, Adobe, of course, to manipulate your image, not just you go for a 3D model your image and send us a render image. No, it should be they use the AI tool.
Perfect. Well, that's it from my side in terms of questions. I'm just looking to see if anyone wants to put their hand up and ask their own question. You can do so. You can also put your hand up and maybe introduce yourself. We can now move on to more open community chat. So we've got, how do we pronounce your name? Anneli?
Yes, that's correct. Hi, all. Nice
Hi,
to see you. Thank you for the introduction into Midjourney as a tool. I actually have two questions. The first one is if you also, I mean, it seems that you mainly approach it or want to explore its creative potential as a tool. But I also see a lot of opportunities to explore or to, you know, raise questions and reflection on the ethical aspect, which has been raised before as well, since these prompt-based models are also highly debated. Yeah, so that's the first question. And then the second one is, I'm curious to learn more about why you find it important that the generated AI pieces seem wearable and almost seem as if they could exist like a physical piece, while in the digital realm, anything is possible. So why is it important that it still looks wearable or, yeah.
Yeah, first of all, the technicality of the pieces is nothing that we would like to do in the digital realm. You're totally right about that. But about this particular contest and also this workshop, which covers everything super basic, the purpose was not AI or like jewelry, like anything separate. What we wanted to do was to bring together these communities. And in order to do that, we wanted to have an AI generated piece, maybe made even physically. So that's why we insisted on, okay, guys, it has to be technically correct. So if you want to like make it in 3D, it makes sense. We don't have to like go over like design or maybe change your design. So that was the main reason. Otherwise, I mean, if you experiment for yourself, I think that direction is the most interesting one. You can have something made out of ice and something so unconventional, like fully be yourself, which is really important. But in particular for this contest, we wanted collaboration. We want, if you generate some really cool results and there's somebody else who can actually make it in real life and offer it to the winner, like we wanted to have that option and bring together these two worlds. It's not the digital realm, it's not the physical one. We're living it now. We're living both of them. We're hybrid. So that's mainly why. About the ethical aspects, I mean, it's a rabbit hole. If you go into it, you go into it. And I do believe that it's very, very important. I think, I'm going to be honest, we messed up in many of these aspects before as humans. I think with something new as this, we should not be messing up again. So whether there are legal updates about it and whether or not, the only thing I can say is that use your brain. Like if you want to use that, if you want to know about like the copyright regulations and everything, but you have a brain and you have judgment yourself. If there is a piece that is derived from another design, you can decide whether that's original or not. You can decide whether the work you generated with AI is you or not. I generate something with AI and I look at it and I realize that's not me. But if I can direct it into something that generates something that is my style, I don't think if it would face any problems. Again, I'm not gonna start on the legal parts of it. I think Joshua was much more professional in knowing in these aspects. But speaking for myself, I always use it this way. If it's me, it's original. If it's not me, I have to think about it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much.
And I can jump in as well. I think from my perspective, fashion, jewelry, it's always been something that interested me, but at the same time, I don't like overconsumption. That's why I like the fact that contemporary jewelry is a sort of art piece, and I think that's really such a nice approach. And when you combine digital fashion and physical fashion, and say you're a consumer and you can even buy both, the opportunities are then that you can change the way that fashion is made. So you don't have to follow these big trends and produce and a lot goes to landfill. Instead, you can maybe even test demand first with the digital side. With younger generations who might want to express themselves with filters, and then there's a different need then that's being satiated. With the physical, that's more of sort of utility, and then just expressing yourself in the digital world. So I think there is a potential where the digital fashion can lead to more sustainability, but it's very difficult to predict exactly how that will play out over the next years.
We just hope so. I mean, our hopes are high, but we really hope that we go into that direction, because like we really have to be careful this time.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you for adding that, Francesca. Although I also would like to add that the digital, it's not immaterial, it's very material based. So it's also important that we keep in mind that, the servers that are running, how it's also a huge carbon footprint. So yeah, but what I want to say is I would like to encourage everyone to be critical
Yes,
working with these tools.
and I agree. I think since COVID-19, I think there's been a change in supply chains with fashion, from global supply chains in China. Then we have to look at sustainability, maybe localizing supply chains. You have Etsy. You also have what happened with COVID-19 disrupting supply chains. So lots of things were happening locally. I see more micro factories. One of the challenges with generative AI is right now we're designers using this, but what happens if these tools are in the hands of consumers? And all consumers expect now to go onto a website and custom make their own dress or their own jewelry. And then you get to personalized pieces. If everyone's designing their own piece, then that's definitely not sustainable. So yes, I think there are so many questions that we have to ask. This space is changing all the time. So as long as the right sort of people are in it, who are asking the right questions, who have the right intentions, and want to stay legal, ethical, sustainable, want to protect craft, want to teach each other, I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I also like to add about the design process that you mentioned, that why we need to care about the variability. Of course, as Nasran said, the goal of this workshop, it really basic first workshop. It's of course it's a contest, digital contest that we are going to create, and maybe AR filter or a metaverse gallery. In that case, you don't need the variability, but this is not, it doesn't just stop here. It's really more wider, and we want to go further. Like personally, in my design process now, I am using the AI, but AI is a way that it helps me to like not waste more time and understand what is working. But in the end, I want that object comes to the real world. I need to create that object in the physical world. So it matters if it's wearable, not that something that I start creating or think about, and in the end phase, I just figured, okay, it's not wearable at all. It's really important that what your goal is. Of course, if you want to use it just in the digital world, you have less issues, but the goal is not that. The goal is to learn to use this as a tool, like the other options that always have. This is just another option, having the piece in digital world, but that piece, of course, it can be in the physical world, or it can just, I don't know, help me to for a design process that we all designers needs to have to help us work better and faster and focus on the creative area. And about the technical part, as also others said, we are the only person for us. We know that we are something doing like I'm not using the word legal, but is it ethical or not? I know it first for the first person, even if there are rules, if you are designing some piece, I don't know, I don't really exactly remember it, 3.5 port, 5 from 5 different points, it should be different or similar to that, blah, blah, blah. So it's not copy. We all know what that does mean, but at the end, you know, for the first person, if your piece is, as Nasran said, is you or not. So just refer to yourself and be honest and just use it in a way that it can help you to improve your creative journey.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you for spending an extra half an hour with the
It was really
community and
nice.
answering these questions. We will release this recording on YouTube for anyone else who wants to watch it back. And I look forward to seeing you all in this Discord server. And then we will obviously do another meetup similar to this to announce the winner.
Of course. So I also just want to thank you all for sharing this time with us and trusting us to start your digital journey or just getting closer to the world of contemporary jewelry, and get prepared, since this workshop was preparing you for this exciting contest. It's time to exercise if you haven't if you didn't use that tool, and showcase your knowledge, skills, and creativity. And we cannot wait to see the result and your submissions to the contest.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it was so lovely being among you all. See you probably soon, and please submit your work. Doesn't matter if you're a professional, you're not a professional, this background, that background, we would really like to see your work, okay?
Thank you,
Perfect.
everybody.
So see you guys later.
Thank you.